good? Board members, we good? Everybody? Yeah? Okay. Good evening. It's time to call the February 14th, 2023 Warwick County Board of Education meeting to order. Our first order of business is our pledge, and I am going to pick on Mrs. Gannett. If you'd lead us in the pledge. One of my favorite people. You can stay right there, Ash.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, first order of business is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Okay, we do have a couple of changes or strikeouts under finance. You can see the amounts under finance, under invoices and supplements. Under employment, we have number 4 and 5 are struck out. Number 6 has a name in it. And number 7 has a name in it. And under new business, we have 2 new names under chaperones and volunteers. Any questions from Mr. McCown on those changes? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the agenda as discussed. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to information, and we're going to let Mr. McCown have this one.
So the primary center and the middle school are both using the iReady benchmark testing. So they've both had the winter benchmark. They've got data to share with you this evening. And because Mrs. Hickman has to get to a basketball game this evening, we're going to have the middle school to go first.
Thank you to the primary center for letting me go first, but I have to drive to Doddridge County here shortly. This is Ms. Harris, my assistant principal. I want to go ahead and introduce you to her if you haven't formally met her. This is our Board of Education. I think I caught some of them coming in. Let's see, I think it kicked me off. All right.
There we go.
I probably don't need a mic, but I guess for Facebook purposes I might. Okay, so this is our first year back to using iReady at the middle school. We had used it prior, maybe 1 year before Mr. McCown was back. At the time, it was very childish for our middle schoolers. It was quite a struggle to get them to do it because it was cartoony and much more suited for primary students. And so we switched to ExactPath. We've had ExactPath data for you in recent years. And when Mr. McCown and I were talking this summer, we weren't really satisfied with some of our scores. Our teachers were willing to try whatever. So we switched back to iReady. ExactPath couldn't give us some of the data that we needed. We needed very cut and dry. This is grade level, this is not grade level, and ExactPath didn't do that. So iReady does do that. So we've implemented it back in all grades. Our 6 through 8, they all have a class dedicated to iReady time. So it's called academic enrichment. They have time set aside in the day to get their minutes, get their lessons passed, and go through iReady. The 5th graders do it within their class periods because they have blocks. So they're looking at a 90-minute period, so there's a little bit more wiggle room there. And then in our 5th and 6th grade math, they're using Ready Math, and 5th grade is using iReady for the reading and writing. So we've kind of implemented it in. It was kind of closer to the beginning of the school year. We kind of just jumped in with it. Mr. McCown's been a big help because he knows iReady, and we've had some trainings with our trainer, Chris, to kind of get us going. But we still have a ways to go in learning the program. So our teachers have done an excellent job jumping in and figuring it out. Our kids said it's fine this time. It's not too childish. They're willing to do it, and they're doing a nice job with it as well. So this was our first benchmark, our data. I know it's small and it's hard to see. We don't have the historical data that goes back for multiple years, so I'm going to kind of talk about our data and then what we're doing with that data so you kind of understand where we're going. So this was at the beginning of the year. Now, anytime middle schoolers take a test, just remember middle schoolers sometimes don't feel like taking a test. So the good thing about iReady is it will give us a report. It'll send us a red flag that says, hey, they rushed. So when you see a kid finish in 10 minutes, you can say, hey, let's try that again and try to get more accurate data. So at the beginning of the year, obviously green is good. So we have about 23% of our kids were in the green range, so they were at or above grade level to start our year. Yellow, they're just one grade behind, which that could be, a sixth grader tested on a fifth grade level. So it's not necessarily they're super far behind, but just at the beginning of the year, they weren't up to grade level. That was 28% of our students. And then half of our students were in the red, which is 2 or 3 grade levels behind where they need to be. So that did not really match up with our state testing data. Our state testing data was a lot better than that, but this gave us a good starting place. So once our kids took that test, they could, they were assigned their personalized learning plan. This just breaks down that same data by grade. So they took this personalized plan and they could take off immediately. Teachers didn't have to do a thing. If I struggled, my math scores were low with fractions and decimals, I'm going to get lessons assigned to me with fractions and decimals. So while that's happening, the teachers can start diving into the data. So this is our math first benchmark. Our math scores were very good on the state assessment, but here they really didn't match. We had about 22% in the green for our math, 32% in the yellow, and then the red was 46% of our students. So, and it does break it down there by domains for you. Geometry was our weakest area there, and informational text was our weakest area in ELA. So this breaks this down by grade level again. It'll tell you how many kids are assessed, and the reason on the right-hand column why only 68 of 69 students were assessed is for the new kids that came after. When I pulled this data, they don't go back and take 2 benchmarks. If they just came in the last month, they take 1 benchmark to get going. We don't make them take it twice. So that's kind of the data we started with. Our students went right to work on their personalized learning plans, and then what did we do with this data as teachers? We met. Our Title I teachers have taken that data and they form small groups. So they might have small groups that need to work on skills where we were deficient, and they also do a good job of pulling small groups that need accelerated. Our Title I folks work mainly with our 5th and 6th graders. So that's where we feel like we can have the biggest impact in catching up those students that are behind with, we get a lot of 5th graders that, they struggle with the actual reading part of it. The teachers with this data, they were given ways they need to focus instruction. And then one of my favorite things that we were able to incorporate this year is our academic enrichment groups. So each 7th and 8th grade teacher has an academic enrichment class, and we have mixed up the 7th and 8th grade, and everyone is assigned a small, 14 to 17 students. And so at the beginning of the year, the only data we had was this benchmark. So iReady will make groups for you based on how they did on the benchmark. So I could look at it and see here's some high flyers, here's some students that are struggling with this skill, here's students struggling with this skill, and we could put them kind of together, or we could make sure we have a few high with a few low. So we kind of changed up our groupings every once in a while. Kids that were working above grade level, let's say in ELA, we put with the ELA teachers because they're probably going to need help with their lessons because they haven't necessarily been taught that yet. And then, once you get into 7th and 8th grade, no one wants to do math but the math teachers. So I made sure that those math teachers would get those high achieving math students so that they could help them in the classroom. And then we also set some goals with our students. In the 7th and 8th grade right now, we ask the students to do 90 minutes of one subject each week, and they need to pass 3 lessons. And our 6th graders, they do 60 minutes, and they pass 2 lessons. And I think that our 5th graders do that same now. We just bump them up. And so middle school kids are fun. They're my favorite age group, but they can twist anything. So if you want 60 minutes, that might not necessarily be on task minutes. So that's why you have that second part of getting those lessons passed. So they're actually getting quality instructional time. They have a little video to watch. If I'm working on fractions, Ms. Harris might be working on her reading, and she's reading informational text. And I have, there are helpful hints on my lesson, but I still have access to a teacher during that period. They're not teaching anything else. They're working with those students to help. Okay, I see that you struggled. It'll send you a little report that this kid failed a lesson. So I can pull you over and try to help you focus on that skill so that you don't fail that lesson again. So by dividing up the 7th and 8th grade, half of them do reading and half of them do math at a time, it kind of helped our teachers, like Mr. Moore and Mrs. Thays, know which kids are doing math. They need to really monitor theirs. You know, Mr. Root and Mrs. Edwards are really watching those ELA kids. And then our science and social studies, our science went with math, and our social studies went with ELA. And then 6th grade teachers, they kind of monitor their individual groups. Same thing with 5th grade. They monitor their students as a whole group with that data. So that's what we're doing with all that data. Mr. McCowan is great about talking us through it. He's even came over and brought me some reports like, hey, this kid is struggling. Make sure that they're getting addressed, because he's more familiar than some of our teachers with this. So that's also been a big help with that. And then, let me see. I just want to show you a screenshot here of some of the resources that our teachers have. So these are all resources for the teacher. There's some short lesson plans. There's some, you can get a preview of the educational games that the kids can play. You can get some online materials for differentiation if you have kids on multiple levels, so you can differentiate your lessons. The tools for scaffolding, you know, if you have a student that isn't on grade level, it will give you the tools that you need to build them up. So teachers can use this. They can also look at this personalized instruction summary. So this was last week. This is for my class of all the 7th and 8th grade students in math. 61, well, you can look, that 74 out of 140 of our 7th and 8th graders were doing math last week. And, you know, 61% had over 50 minutes of lesson time on task. So that's pretty good for our middle schoolers. And then on the right-hand side, you can see how many students passed 70 to 100% of our lessons, 95 of our students, 40 students passed 50 to 69%, 4 students didn't pass a lesson. So some of this is inaccurate because kids do forget which subject they're supposed to be doing. So at the end of this last week, actually, I only had 3 students that didn't meet the requirements total. So that's pretty good for, that's including absences, you know, students that haven't been there. We had a new student move in, so he's one of those as well. So teachers can also monitor that. It's a good tool for them. And then this page is things that you can divide by your class. So if you want to look at diagnostic results, if a teacher wants to go back and look. But the 2 things that we were just introduced to in our last training are the prerequisites for math and the grade level scaffolding for reading. So the next slide shows you, this is the prerequisite groups. If I'm going to teach this 7th grade math skill of finding equivalent ratios. So you can't probably see because it's small, but that first column on that table at the bottom, it says unit group A. I have 5 students there that are completely ready to go. They're above grade level. You can go teach them everything about equivalent ratios that you want to. They have all the prerequisite skills. And then it will tell me who those 5 students are. I cut that part off. And then unit group B, there's 12 students there. They might need a little bit of additional support with dividing with fractions, but other than that, they're ready to go. And then it goes on, unit group C and group D. Obviously group D, they need lots of help. They're not ready to do equivalent fractions. So that recommendations button right underneath there will give me tools that I can use. So you're not asking the teachers to do much more work because they're already teaching their curriculum and addressing these weaknesses there. This is something you can click on. I print it out for them and say, hey, do this lesson this week with your iReady groups. We can try to get them up to speed. So this is how we're actually grouped right now. We have combining those. So let's say I have 33 kids right now that need some background information to do those equivalent fractions or equivalent ratios. I've got them in 2 or 3 groups, and the teachers are trying to focus to bring up those prerequisite skills. So that is what it gives you for math.
That's new.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just showed us that.
That's new.
We were chomping at the bit at that because that's a better fit than just the benchmark data instructional groups. That's very specific. And then this is their version of that for reading. So I picked summarizing information objectively, and it gives me that data. So obviously green is good, ready to go. And then I have 24 students ready to go. And underneath this that I've cut off, you would see student names who are ready to go teach that skill. And then 18 students need additional support, and it gives me some lessons that I can try, with them. So by having these tools, we can really get specific in our, it's not just, oh, go do your iReady for 44 minutes. It's, hey, on Wednesday, we're going to do this lesson. It's only going to take us about 10 to 15 minutes, because if you try to take their iReady time away, they're going to get mad, because anyone who has met the goal at the end of the week gets a little reward. We might go outside, we might go down to the gym for 20 minutes during that period, but they like that extra movement and recess. Middle school kids will do a lot for a little bit of extra recess time or gym time, so they want to get that reward. Also, part of this, which we haven't tried yet, on the top right corner, it will actually pair up with Reading Buddies. So I clicked on that last week just to kind of see what that was. So it'll pair up kids, someone who might be reading at a higher lexile with someone who's a little bit lower, so they could help one another. And then it will tell you which students, these students, need teacher support. Don't pair them with a buddy, but they might need some teacher support. So those are two things that he showed us last month when we had our online training that we're really excited about, and that's what we're using the most right now with this data. And then you can even drill it down further, the next slide, to student, and the West Virginia standards is there. You can do this for a class as well. I can see here's student, and green check means he's good on that West Virginia content standard. The gray X means he needs some more support. So I can look at students individually and see, how are they with our standards, but I can look at me as a teacher and see, what have I not covered, what have I not covered well. So this is the next thing that our teachers, we're going to dive into as we get closer to the end of the year to make sure that we've covered everything. So those were some cool things there that we got shown this last time. And then here at the end of our slide, this is our second benchmark, which we took right after Christmas break. Obviously, you want your numbers to move to the left. So you want to get more green, less red, which we were able to do. This is our ELA, and then the individual grades again. And Mr. McCown has a copy of this. If you want to share that, that's fine, so you can actually look more closely. Same thing for math. And then this is the growth, the breakdown of growth. So you want your students to get their typical growth, which is what they should gain in a year, and then you really want them to get stretch growth, to go above and beyond, so we can make up those students' deficiencies that are more than one grade level behind. So if you look at the current placement there, this is for reading. The first time we took the benchmark, we had 41% of our students 3 or more grade levels below, and that went down to 38. We went from 9% of our students 2 grade levels below to 12, which actually doesn't sound like it, but that's good because you're moving in the right direction. We went from 28 in the yellow to 21%, which means our green went up from 12 to 15, and then above grade level, we went from only 11% to 14% in reading. So we are showing some growth on this program. And then in math, kind of the same deal. We started at 30%, 3 or more grade levels below, so we're down to 21%. We stayed at 16%, 2 grade levels below, and then the yellow stayed at 32, but our green went from 17 to 21, and then we doubled our students that were above grade level from 5% to 10%. That's school-wide. So we're really pleased with that growth. And what we're going to do now with it is we're going to continue monitoring it. I think consistency will be something that will be important to us, to stick with the program, really go all in. And every time we have a faculty meeting, we talk about what can we do better with it, how can we change it up to make it more useful for the students. We continue to monitor our weekly lessons and minutes. If someone is absent, we do ask them, this is a class, so they do get a grade for this. So it is a makeup assignment that we ask them to do. If we have students that aren't really pulling their weight on it and not attempting it, we have opportunities for more time to spend on that rather than doing recess. I run a homework table, 7th and 8th grade lunch. Ms. Harris does it for some of our 5th and 6th graders. It's not a punishment. Some of the kids feel it is, but a lot of kids come on their own because they want that time. I had 3 kids there today that wanted that time because I'm there to help. So they have somebody who's very close. We offer those rewards. So now we have students who have decided, hey, this isn't too bad of a gig to get extra lessons. So if they get 5 lessons in a week, we will give them either PBIS points or 7th and 8th grade can use PBIS points to get a phone pass so that they can have their cell phone out at lunch. So the lessons are flying in to get the phone passes. 5th and 6th grade have line passes. I think they have Unibuddy Go Ahead, different rewards for the different grade levels. And then we'll have another benchmark at the end of March, early April, before we get into state testing. We found that the kids really like to monitor this. They like to see their progress. We had a lot of kids that wanted to reset if they felt like they didn't show growth, which I think is half the battle, is that intrinsic reward, making them want to do better. And then we will continue with our trainings with Chris, our middle school trainer from iReady. I think we have one more online training this year, and then we'll do some more in the summer with it. We had a select group that met this last time, and then they took it back to their teams to share that new stuff. So that's what we're going to do, and we're happy to have your support in purchasing iReady. I think that it's a program that's good for us. It's better suited to our middle school now since they've revamped a little bit, and it gives us the best data that we can have. So that's the middle school. Short and sweet. Do you have any questions for me?
Any more members have questions? I do get it, real quick. Okay, students with IEPs, they just slot in just like any other student.
Yes.
Okay, and can I do this if I'm a student? Can I do my lessons from home?
Yes.
If I'm not there, I want to catch up.
You can log on anywhere. Now, the diagnostics we usually make so they're only available from 8 to 4, at school. So they're not getting help because we need to know where they really are leveled. But yeah, and it also will provide accommodations. It will read aloud. Those kinds of things are there.
And I can say that, as you know, I'm in a fifth grade classroom.
Yes.
At least once a week. And I've been in there during iReady time. Okay, and those students will come. Okay, and this is spring and ask to be reset. Okay,
Yeah.
because, they want to just get a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good program.
Question, are we resetting the students' scores?
Are we resetting?
Well, you said they asked to be reset.
Well, if they fail a lesson, they have to be so that they can be back on. But on the benchmark, if like a student feels like they didn't show the growth they want, we will reset it. Now, we're not going to do that multiple times because we have some perfectionists that would just stress themselves out. But if they really feel like they want another shot, they can do better, I will let it be reset the first time. But if the kid takes 10 minutes, we're going to reset it and make them try again.
Okay. And can you explain to me how we know when the lesson is complete? Is there a test at the end, or is it just the video is run, or?
It's the answer questions. So at the end of their however many questions, they will, they'll pass on, they'll know it, and then it goes into a data. And you can actually get a spreadsheet here. I didn't want to put our student information in there, but like this spreadsheet will tell me that they had, this one. Last week, this student completed, they passed 4 lessons in the last week, 6 in the last 2 weeks. Their average time on task was 63 minutes. I mean, you can run any kind of report.
So passed is different than completed.
No, it's...
They have a quiz at the end of it.
There's a quiz they have to pass.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at is we're differentiating between a student that just took the test versus a student that shows that they understand the material that was tested.
Yes, so the lesson, yes. It will show you completed, but if you fail it twice, you can't go on. It'll tell you you don't have any lessons assigned. And the kids all come, hey, I don't have a lesson assigned. But that's why our teachers, they try to catch that first so the student doesn't get locked out of that domain. So that's what we mean. Sorry, completed, you can complete it and fail it. Passed is what we're looking for. Yes.
Does a parent or guardian, are they able to see this, or they call you, or how's that work?
Yeah, we share it. Middle school kids don't like to take things home, if you remember.
Right.
Yeah. So we waste a lot of paper when we try to print them out. So what we've been doing with our kids is conferencing, showing them individually, talking with it. iReady has parent printouts. I used to get them from the primary center. You guys probably still do them. I mean, that will show you. And when we have any kind of parent meeting, we always pull up this data and give it to parents. Or if we talk to a parent on the phone, I bring it up.
But it's through the teacher or you that they get these, right?
The students can see it on their screen. It'll tell them.
So if a parent wants to see, they can
Yes.
get it? Yeah, all right.
Yes.
That's where we're.
Yes. Okay.
Any other questions?
Appreciate your hard work. The first year is always the hardest. It gets a little bit easier as you go, so appreciate you and your staff.
Well, I have a great staff, great assistant. This is a great steal from Wood County. I hope they never want her back. And she already knew iReady, so she's been a big help in getting us, because they used it in Wood County, and she jumped right in and started throwing reports at us and telling us what to do with it, and it's been phenomenal. So that makes a big difference. Thank you. Sorry, I'm leaving. Don't think bad of us.
Safe travels, Mrs. Hickman.
Thank you.
Ready for me? Do I need an introduction?
So we have with us some fabulous staff members from Worth County Primary Center, and Ms. Richards is going to lead and introduce who you have with you, and then I think you've got the slides divided up, and have at it.
Okay, so we have Miss Gannell here. She's one of our Title I people, fabulous person. We have Miss Jamie Vanoy, who's a kindergarten teacher, fabulous human being. We have Miss Rebecca McCown. She is a second grade teacher, another fabulous human being. And then we have Miss Roberts in the back, Morgan Roberts. She's a third grade teacher, and you guessed it, fabulous human being. We're also going to talk about the rest of the fabulous human beings that are in our school, most of them little, short, some of them tall. But we're going to talk about what they've been doing with the iReady program and our benchmark testing. So Miss Hickman had some line graphs. We have some pie ones for you, so we're going to change it up a little bit. And these ladies have parts, and they're going to talk about it, and at the end I'll wrap it all up, and we'll talk about some things that aren't data-driven, because it is elementary, and kids don't really thrive on data. They thrive on other things, if that makes sense. But data is super important. So we'll start with math.
All right, so we have some of the same information that we've brought to you the past couple times that we've came to present. Our first pie chart shows the comparison from the beginning of this year to the middle of this year for math, where the students placed overall. And we met with our trainer, Diane Neese, at the beginning of the school year, right after the first benchmark. And we were talking about our scores, and she said that a reasonable goal would be to double our green and cut our red in half. And as you can see, overall with our math scores, we surpassed that with the green and tripled our the amount of students in green. And then we cut that, almost cut that, the red in half. So we're definitely making progress getting where we want to be. The next slide shows the middle of the year comparison for the past 3 years. So as you can see, we are right on track with where we were last year, and we made huge growth, the students did. We are quite a bit better than we were at the middle of the year in 2021. And then the math test is broken into different domains. So the first domain that we are going to look at is the numbers and operations. And once again, we more than doubled the green, and then we almost cut that, that red in half. And the next domain is algebra and algebraic thinking. Same thing there. We have more than doubled our green, and then we cut that red more than half on that one.
All right, the next domain is measurement and data, and as you can see at the beginning of the year, our on-grade level was 24%, and in the middle of the year, it went to 46%, and our yellow at the beginning of the year, which is 1 grade level below, was at 60%. Middle of the year, we got that to 43%, and then for red 2 or more grade levels below, at the beginning of the year, it was 16%, and middle of the year, we got that down to 12%. And I just wanted to make a comment for measurement and data. That's actually like towards the end of our books in our math lessons. So a lot of our students, as far as like whole group teaching goes, haven't caught a lot of measurement and data lessons. So a lot of that came from their individual paths that they do on their own on their iReady lessons. So I thought this data was pretty good for not having heard it whole group yet for the most part. Same thing with geometry. That's at the end of our book. So this is coming from mostly what they've done on their own individual lessons. Beginning of the year, 21% on grade level, 55% one grade level below, 24% two or more grade levels below. And then for the middle of the year, we got our green at or above grade level to 40%, yellow to 49%, and we got our red down to 12%, two or more grade levels below. So again, improvement in that domain as well. This is our math on grade level percentages. So at the beginning of the year, you can see kindergarten was 20%, and then when they took it up in the middle of the year, it was 65%. So they grew 45%. That was their growth. First grade, 15% were on grade level at the beginning of the year, 28% middle of the year. They showed 13% growth. Second grade, beginning of the year was 11%. They went up to 37% at the middle of the year, making their growth 26%. Third grade, beginning of the year was 7%. Their middle of the year was 39%, making that a growth of 32%. Fourth grade, beginning of the year 19%, middle of the year 49%, making their growth 30%. And again, that was students that are on grade level, that green that you were seeing on the charts. In math, their growth goals typical growth goal is 100% by the end of the year. So by the end of the year, we expect all of our students to make 100% typical growth, meaning that they've made it to where they should be. And then school-wide growth for what we've seen at the middle of the year is actually already at 69%. So we're very close to already meeting that end of the year goal. And 24% of those students actually met or exceeded their typical growth already. So our students are doing great in math and showing quite a bit of growth already towards their end of the year goal.
So one cool thing that Miss Emerson, she's not here, but if you go in the front door of the primary center, she's got a bulletin board there with math and reading, and there's names on it for kids that made a year's worth of growth already halfway through the year, and there's quite a few of them.
Yes.
So the next time you go in the front door, take a look at that.
I might add, I like the pie charts. I can see them better.
Okay, so now we are moving on to reading. And reading placement summary comparison shows the reading placement from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. So this is grade level wise. So 27% at the beginning of the year were on grade level in reading as a whole, and that went up to 54%. So it did double. 52% were one grade level below, and that went down to 33% by the middle of the year. And 21% were two grade levels or more below at the beginning of the year, and that went down to 13%. So that was a great jump. And then the yearly comparison overall reading placement summary. This shows middle of the year from 2021 to 2022 and then 2023 this year. So starting out in 2021, we had 41% of our students at green, and now if you look to this year, it's up to 54%. We had 38% were yellow, and that is down to 33%. That means one grade level below, and then 21% in 2021 were two or more grade levels below, and that is down to 13% this year. So we have had great growth if you look at each year going forward from 2021. The next one is reading phonological awareness. So this is, again, going into the separate domains of reading, breaking it down more. At the beginning of the year, there were 73% on grade level in phonological awareness, and now there are 88%. So we couldn't really double that one. But we did cut in half our reds from 7% to 2%, and our yellows from 20% to 10%. So that was great growth over just half of a year. Then moving on to phonics. At the beginning of the year, 39% of the students were at grade level in phonics, and now we have 65% at grade level, and 35% were yellow, and that is now down to 18. And for our red students who are 2 grade levels or below, we started out with 26% students, and that is down to 17%. So I like to say this one looks like Pac-Man, and we're just eating up those lower numbers. So I think that's the next person.
All right, so I'm going to jump right into the next domain in reading. This is high frequency words. So we, at the beginning of the year, we had 54% on grade level, and now we have 79% on grade level. So I wanted to kind of share some of the strategies that we've been doing that have that I think may attribute to these increased rates. So for high frequency words, you might have heard those called sight words before. So, you know, typically in the past we have kind of used flashcards or kind of just a rote memorization to memorize high frequency words, but your brain can only store so many words. So we've kind of started using some other strategies to help reduce the cognitive load so that we can better learn high frequency words in a more productive way. So with our new curriculum, CKLA, in grades pre-K through second grade, one of the strategies we use to teach high frequency words now is they're called tricky words in our curriculum, and so there's what I like to call a heart part that we have to memorize that part by heart, and it's only a certain part of the word, not the whole high frequency word, but just the part of it that is not decodable. So thinking about the word the, that's a tricky word that I introduced in kindergarten. So I introduced that word. I've already taught them about digraph TH, how those two letters work together, and they represent the th sound. And so I can teach them to, you know, use what you know to decode this word, to sound it out, and then only memorize that short part, the part that doesn't match the phonics skills that we've learned up to this point. So that E that represents the sound in the word the is underlined, and throughout our decodable readers and throughout our lessons, that part is underlined. So that acts as a scaffold or a support to them as they're getting that word stuck to their memory. So they're seeing that word the. We have it posted up on our tricky word wall, on our lessons, our worksheets. We do a presentation where we practice all of our words, like a slideshow presentation. We do the decodable readers and other things where that word the shows up and just the E is underlined, so that they can use their phonics skills, use what they know, and decode part of the word and not have to just memorize that whole word by sight. So a lot of words that we call sight words are actually decodable words, those high frequency words. So if we just have them only memorize the absolute part that cannot be sounded out based on what they know at that point in time, it helps them to be able to store more words long term. So I think that has helped, using that strategy has helped to boost our scores in high frequency words. And then moving on to vocabulary. So once again, in CKLA, we have a strategy for teaching vocabulary. So our coach, Mr. Tim, he has been working with us in pre-K through second grade on our vocabulary strategy. So across the grade levels, we have this routine for teaching vocabulary words. So we say the word 3 times, we clap the syllables in the words, and so then when we hear that word in the read aloud, we can identify it, we can say it again. And so we're previewing the word before we hear it in a read aloud, then we're hearing it within the read aloud, and then after the read aloud, we have a word work part of the lesson. So we're digging deeper into that word and the meaning of it. We're using it in a sentence. We're turning and talking to our partners, using the word, defining the word, using it in a sentence, and then I will give, the teacher will give examples and non-examples, so then the student will, they'll say the word and in their example. So for example, in kindergarten, one of our vocabulary words recently was ashamed. So I would read an example and they would say, I would not feel ashamed, or I would feel ashamed. So they're hearing, they have to be able to determine, and they're using that word ashamed over and over and over again so that they can, so that it sticks to their memory. So that was one of the things that we're doing pre-K through second grade with CKLA. And then, so we went from 29% on grade level to 50% grade level. And then reading comprehension. So this is also part of that knowledge component of our CKLA curriculum. It's separate. I know I've talked to you guys before about how it's kind of set up. We have an hour a day where we're doing our knowledge portion, so that's our read aloud. We have our vocabulary, our comprehension, all of that sort of stuff built in together. And then we have another separate hour that we call skills, and that's where we work on like phonics and high frequency words and phonological awareness and those foundational skills. So during the comprehension, there's a good division of literature or fiction and nonfiction. So we'll study a topic. Usually in kindergarten, our topics will last about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And so within that study, we will have a mixture of nonfiction and fiction texts. And so one of our recent topics was kings and queens. So during that read aloud, we had a lot of traditional like fairy tales. So we read about Snow White and Cinderella, but then we also learned about royal families, and we had nonfiction mixed in there. So there was lots of rich vocabulary. Another example is one of our topics was farms. So we had some really fun read alouds about Old MacDonald and some other fictional texts. But then we also learned about crops and different farm animals and farm life and that sort of stuff. So there's a very good mixture of both nonfiction and fiction, but built around a similar topic. So from literature, we went up from 36% on grade level to 53%. And then informational texts, we went from 36% to 50% on grade level. And I think...
Can I ask you a question on the vocabulary?
Yeah.
Is spelling included in that?
So spelling is actually included in our skills part, which is during our foundational part. So that spelling goes along with our phonics section. So yes, there is still, we still are doing spelling, it's just not, it's separate from
Right,
our
okay, I was just curious.
Yep.
Sorry, this one's not a pie graph, but we've got some more, just a little bit more data here, and then data, tomato, tomato. So you see kindergarten, it has the beginning of the year, that's the first column. They were at 18%, and then it has the middle of the year. We were at 84% on reading on grade level. So that's a growth of 66%. And then you can see first grade, beginning of the year, we had 22%. Middle of the year, 50%, a growth of 28%. And then second grade, beginning of the year, 23%. Middle of the year, 48%, and we had growth of 25%. And then third grade, beginning of the year, 35%. Middle of the year, 54%, and a growth of 19%. And then finally at the bottom, you can see fourth grade, 38% were reading on grade level. Middle of the year, 42%, so growth of 4% there. Growth goals for reading. Typical growth goal is 100% for the end of the year. And school-wide growth right now currently is 75%. 35% of students met or exceeded typical growth. iReady is a wonderful tool. In my new position, Mr. McCown was nice enough to come over and show me some things because last year I was at the middle school, so we did ExactPath, so I wasn't as familiar with iReady. So Mr. McCown came over and graciously showed me back to what Ms. Hickman was talking about when someone fails a couple tests. They'll start flagging people, and then it won't let them move on because I knew you had that question. And then we can reset them. According to Diane Neese, who is our trainer, our representative that comes to our school and talks iReady with us, she said it's not acceptable to reset a test more than twice because statistically after that, it's not doing the kid any good to, you know what I mean? It's just trying to hurry up and get it done. So that is a lot of our data. Does anybody have any questions about the data that you saw before I move on to the fun stuff?
I have a couple
Go for it.
commendations.
Okay.
So the longitudinal data from middle of the year benchmark in math and reading shows that the green kids are growing. You have more kids this year in green than last year. Last year you had more than the year before. That's very commendable. I think the work that you're doing is making a difference, and more kids are getting caught up and on grade level, which we want to see. And I think the other thing that I think is commendable is, like right now, we're halfway through the year, a little better. Your typical kid has grown 50% of typical growth. When you get those numbers up beyond 50%, okay, and then at the end of the year you have those numbers beyond 100%, that the kid is growing more than a year's worth a year. Kids are getting caught up and kids are moving. So, and finally, I want to commend the K-1-2 folks on their reading adoption and talking about the science of reading there a couple years ago. Guess what is the new big buzzword from State Superintendent Roach and all of the folks at the department? The science of reading. So thank you for being a few chess moves ahead of the rest of the state. You going with that adoption was a very good move. So thank you for your research and diligence on that, and appreciate all your hard work.
And we also have, sorry, Mr. McCown.
No, I'm done.
We also have motivators for students to do lessons. So we have a prize box in the office that Miss Emerson keeps stocked. Every so many lessons, they color in their lessons as they make them. They have this huge 100 chart, and every time that they fill up a row, then they get to come to the office, and we tell them how awesome they are, because they are awesome. And then they get to pick a little prize out of the box, and then they are so excited to come back. Sometimes it's just to hug Sarah, I think is the most. She's the secretary, if you don't know. I think it's just to give Sarah a hug most of the time, but, you know, they enjoy coming to the office and getting their prizes. And then, you know, I've worked at some schools. I'm not going to, I've worked in Calhoun where, everybody knows these things. Our school's phenomenal. The middle school is also phenomenal. Worked there last year. I'm not knocking that. This elementary school is absolutely phenomenal. The people are phenomenal. Every one of them. Every single one of them are here for the right reason. And I'm just, in this, being able to stand in front of you, I wanted you guys to know that working in this school system, these people are absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal humans. All right, I'm going to get going before I start crying. So what does the data not show? And again, there has to be other things. we get it, right? I mean, they're little kids. What other fun things can we do to stimulate their minds so that when they get on do the test, that kind of thing, they rock them. So we have trainings with students. So we have bus training, we have fire drills, we have all these different kind of trainings, and we're having some other training coming up at the end of the year. It's called Alice training. So we have the bus drivers come over. They graciously show kids how to properly get on and off the bus. You can see Mr. Tim comes over, and the bus driver's phenomenal. They do a great job. The kids are wonderful. We also do fire drills and that kind of thing. We have awesome classroom activities, phenomenal classroom activities. Miss Roberts here, she had that little glow party up there. Again, just a reward for doing the best they can do. What was that reward for, Miss Roberts?
The whole class worked together to earn 100% on the lesson. So every time they got 100% on the lesson, they got to add that to the class chart. And when they filled it up to 100, that was their choice of the reward for that month. That was in a month. Was having a glow party. So we just spent an hour having a glow party, dancing, and all kinds of fun because of their hard work on our day.
And they loved it. Absolutely loved it. I mean, it's just thinking outside of the box. That's what our teachers do. They think outside the box, motivate students, let them have the best time, and learn at the same time. It's a wonderful place to work. Top left, you'll see we had the whole thing with tying shoes. I mean, I get it too. I wear the dudes. I don't tie my shoes anymore. So kids don't really know how to tie the shoes that well. So Miss Jones came to us and said, hey, how can we motivate these kids? Well, let's give them little things to put on their shoelaces. So when she gave them, did a whole lesson in gym about tying shoes. It's a dying art, folks. It's a dying art. So they got little things as prizes for whenever they got to tie their shoes. Now that funding came from Project Aware. So we worked with J.C. Cheeseman on that. She's a phenomenal human too. Not saying you all aren't phenomenal human, I'm just saying that too. Bottom left, during, what was that? That was Halloween era. They brought in a bunch of pumpkins, and they had to read a book and decorate their pumpkin as the character. Thinking outside the box, something cute, something to get them involved, something that's not just plain old let's read a book. You know what I mean? Thinking outside of the box, doing the most. The bottom right you'll see is we have sister classes. So some of our bigger kids will go read to some of our smaller kids, and there's themes. The current theme is fairy tales, I think. So they have specific genres, themes. The beginning of the years, it was just dinosaurs. So they go and the teachers collaborate. So it's different grade level teachers. They get to collaborate. Those students intermingle. As you can see, there's an older student and a younger student, and they read to each other. It's the greatest thing, and they love it. They absolutely love it. So that's just a couple. There's a billion things I could pick. This is just the pictures I had ready to go. And most of the stuff we put on Facebook. Go ahead, sir.
Telling time, have you taught, do you use it, that's included in that, or
We
teaching kids how to tell time?
second grade, we teach time, Miss McCown said.
Third grade, we're actually, that's our current topic and subject right now. Math is telling time as well. So.
Do you want to come in and hold up a hand and we'll see what time you're at? You want to do that for us, or are you volunteering? Is that okay? You're passed. All right. We have some new technology. The bright purple light and the little. I know. I'm sorry that the pictures are kind of small. The blue light up in the top right. We have a new system called the Lou. It's called a Lou and Jim, like skip to your Lou kind of thing. It changes color. She has a headset so it can project sound. It's wonderful for dances and that kind of thing too. But it's phenomenal for Jim because she can make that an interactive wall. That's legitimately what it is. And again, some funding came from J.C. Cheeseman. She's the one that helped us in purchasing this. And things like spelling words could be put on the wall, and they use a basketball to hit the right spelling word. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that can be done. And we just recently, about a month ago, this was up and running. So we're still learning all the cool things that it can do, but we're super excited about it. Because as you can see, real easily, it changes color, and they can dribble a basketball and that kind of thing. You'll also see goggles, which I was here last year. I don't think you were here, sir. or you weren't here, but you guys got the goggle it out. So we have the goggles. We have newer ones, and I think we're purchasing some just for our elementary school, I think somewhere along the line, because Callie's been super hopping and popping with the ones that we currently have for the whole county. They're phenomenal lessons. You can see preschoolers. Preschoolers are the big picture. They did a great job with it. 2nd grade, 3rd grade, all the way up. Did a fantastic job. And you'd think kids in preschool wouldn't be able to do it. Loved it. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. We also have tons of family engagement nights. One of them's coming up. If you like basketball, we're going to have a basketball one next Friday. Come on out. I might be biased because I assist coach basketball, but anyways. We're going to have some basketball. We're going to have some crafts to go along with it, but we do things. Miss Emerson sets all this up mostly and tells me where to be, and I'm there. That's how that works. And so this was Halloween. We did some Halloween. Mr. Metz, you made the show there. You and your wife. There we go. In the bottom left, we also have family engagement within the classroom, like parties and that kind of thing. We went through the first round of Valentine parties occurred today, and then we have another round tomorrow and another round the next day. So we have these family engagement nights. That's something she puts on to get the family, families involved in school. Because again, community involvement, kids try harder, they want to be at school, that kind of thing. Some more family engagement for Christmas. We had Spidey Man come. He was a huge hit. And then, of course, we had Santa and Mrs. Claus. We gave out books. We invite all kinds of community members. We have different places from all over come and give kids things. And, cheer them on in life. That's very important. Super important. These are just 2 pictures for me to remind me what we do, because there are so many things. But the little girl on the left, she's in my office. She won a writing contest. So Miss Emerson also does like writing contests every so often to promote, writing and those kind of skills. So we do, this one was for, I think it was something to do with Mickey Mouse. So she won a little Mickey Mouse prize. So we took a picture. And then we get animals to come into the building. So we had them come. That was a huge hit too. Listen, there are about 1 million pictures I could have put up here. 1 million. And there are about 1 million things I could say about these people because they're fabulous. And you all are probably fabulous too, but I don't know you that well. These humans are fabulous, I can tell you that. Does anyone have any questions at all? And we invite anybody. You can come to our school any day. Come right on in. You can hold your hand this way and hold your hand this way, and they'll tell you what time it is. I'll send you right to that class right over there, Miss McCown.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Are there any tasks or requirements that the teachers are given that's distracting them from being able to teach as well as possible?
Not that I'm aware, but I will. Do you guys feel like there are anything that distracts you from doing your job?
I think everything that you guys assign us to do is a purpose that serves the students in some way to help them become a better learner and just human being in general.
That answer that. You want-
For quite a few years, and I've gone through many changes and many different requirements. This is probably the least extra that we've ever had to do. We're allowed to mostly teach what we need to teach, which is what this is.
And the things you see extra, like family engagement, we don't require teachers to do that. They volunteer.
Right, what I'm getting at is there any distractions that's being put on the teachers that if eliminated they could do better?
I can send out a
Good, great.
survey if that's what you want me to do. I can do that.
No, I'm just,
Okay.
if somebody has it, and then also, is there anything that you guys need to do better, but you don't think that you have? Anything that would improve where you're at?
I don't feel that. Do you all feel
No, I think if we needed anything,
anything they ever?
go to Mr. Church or Ms. Emerson, and they'd be more than glad to help us find funding for it or buy it themselves for us.
I don't know that I've ever said the word no this year. Should I start? Maybe I should start. But I haven't yet. Okay, usually if they come to, like I said, with the shoe, even something as simple as shoe tying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're open to it.
I mean, not just monetary, but time or
Right.
research or whatever it is. Okay, good.
I would like to add, you know, I'm not from this county. I don't live here. I commute from North Parkersburg. This is my 11th year teaching here. I didn't have a job much closer to home.
Yeah.
And I choose to stay here because I feel that I'm very supported. If I ever need anything, everyone is always willing to, whether it's Mr. McCown, whether it's Ms. Richards, Ms. Emerson, my colleagues, like whoever it is, I feel that I can always go to them, and I feel that my voice here really matters. Like we were talking about curriculum, I feel like in a different place, my opinion about curriculum probably wouldn't matter the way I feel that it matters here. So I think we're always supported in everything that we do, and if we have a concern about something, I feel that it is accepted, and we sit down and we talk about it as a staff, we can talk about it individually. So I feel very, very supported here, and I don't think that you would be able to find the kind of support system that we have in other places, and that's why I choose to stick around, and I think other people make that same decision.
That answers your question.
Yeah.
Jamie, I just have a couple comments more and questions. It just does my heart well as an educator to hear you talk about the science of reading, because I think we got away from that for a long time, okay, as things come through. And I think about, this is back, you know, how I learned to read, and probably how most of us learned to read through those, through that science of reading. So I'm tickled to see that you guys are holding some fidelity to that program. Okay, if I remember right, we purchased the text for the CKLA for kindergarten, first, second, and third? No,
Just a
second.
But pre-K is also part, pre-K started this.
Okay, okay.
So pre-K through second grade is using CK.
Yeah, because, you know, if you pay attention to what our legislators are doing, this third grade thing is going to be big. You know, our kids being on grade level and being able to read on grade level, it could fundamentally change some of the ways that we look at grades or look at grade levels. So I'm glad to see that I believe we're ahead on that with what you guys are doing. And just out of curiosity, how many minutes per day? I know they removed some of that out of code, but how many minutes per day are you doing, are you working within reading and language arts?
So in my kindergarten classroom, I have 3 hours a day dedicated to reading language arts. So
Okay.
there's an hour of skills time, so that's your foundational skills. And then you have, that's where like phonological awareness, phonics, high frequency words, that kind of stuff falls. And then there's another hour that's called our knowledge time. That's where vocabulary and comprehension come into play. That's also where we have science and social studies topics integrated. So like right now we're doing a big thematic unit on colonial towns and townspeople. So not only are we covering reading standards in that, we're also covering social studies standards within that.
Right,
So
right.
there's integration there. But then I also have another separate hour of the day for small group time. So that's where we have our interventionists. We have that support for those students who are struggling within the whole group, you know, the tier one,
Right.
tier one part of the day. So I have 3 hours. That's not exactly how it is in the other grade levels, but K through 2 hours is the whole group time for CKLA, an hour for knowledge and an hour for skills.
Yeah. What about you, Ms. McCowan?
I do the same thing.
Okay.
I have an hour for knowledge, I have an hour for skills, and then, I don't really call it language arts, but then there's probably another hour that's, 30 minutes of each, math or reading that is iReady time, so that's, bringing up their skills, small group time. So, 2 to 2.5 to 3 per day. It varies a little bit.
Very good. And that's when, Ashley, that's when you're pushing in, right? Okay, yeah,
So
okay.
we have push-in, sorry, but we have push-in like Mrs. Davies and Mrs. Keener, they push into, Mrs. Davies pushes into kindergarten, and then Mrs. Keener with first grade. So they usually push into the room, and then with our assistants, that's 3 adults, so we're each working with a small group. So then for our Title I, they usually pull out another small group. That way it's not 4 teachers in the same classroom talking over top of each other with their small group in their corners.
And all it has to be pulled out
Yeah.
in the upper grades, so we can group students that are more equally matched in skills, instead of just trying to see students from one classroom. At that time, we can see from all 3 or grade level.
Okay. Good things happening, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to just say real quick, I love the pie charts. I think some of you guys probably have an email from me from last year about how much I love the pie charts, because visually that's just so easy to see the improvement. This question, it might be more for you because Gail has already left, but you guys said these guys have been using iReady for a while, right? And then 5th through 8th just picked it back up. So will that data flow through? Will the middle school 5th grade kids coming in, will we know what their 4th grade data was? And then can we see, like, if we can say, okay, in 4th grade, at the end of the year benchmark, we had X number of kids reading on level. 5th grade, beginning of the year benchmark, it was X number, and see, if there was a fall off over the summer, or...
The administration can run that report and run a paper copy of it and give to the middle school, but since
The data
the
doesn't-
software is defined by school, the middle school couldn't just run that report and get that data, but the primary center could run a hard copy of that and give to
Okay.
the middle school.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would just carry through with the kids, but it sounds like not, since it's 2 separate schools. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Ladies, we truly appreciate your time, okay? I know this is on your own time, and we do appreciate you coming out.
They volunteer.
Thank
Yeah.
you for volunteering on Valentine's Day.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, folks, we're down to delegations, and we had no delegations this evening, so we'll move to personnel matters. First, under resignations, leave of absence. No, I skipped paying the bills. We probably ought to
approval
pay
of
the
minutes.
Approval of minutes.
Approval of the minutes, Mr.
Good grief, I just went to the heart of
Oh,
it.
gosh, you must have-
Huh? Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to move up and approve the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 24th, 2023 regular meeting?
So moved.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the January 24th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Heather, if we get to moving too fast and you miss a motion, you stop us, okay? Yeah, because I know you're new at doing it. And every once in a while I look at Kathy and she's just shaking her head at me, so you slow us down. Okay, so we're under finance. Need a motion to approve payment of invoices in the amount of $217,842.94.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
Okay, we have several runs of expenditures for your approval tonight. The first on February 2nd, 2023, totaling $43,902.94. Notable on this run is Adobe software. Also on 2/2, in the amount of $19,257.83. Notable on this is the power bill, Mountaineer Gas. We have Project Aware paying for professional development that's going to Georgia, a group of people. So we have airline flight for that. We've got hotel reservations, and we have diesel fuel. On 2/7/2023 in the amount of $18,597. I think that is the diesel fuel expenditure. Then on 2.8, we've got family carpet in the amount of $54,361.89. We've got the flooring that went in the library. If you have not been in there, that looks very nice. That project is complete. It took a long time because they tore up the carpet and found asbestos, and then we had to do abatement and all of that. But that project is complete, and it looks very nice if you've not been in there. And then Mon Power for the primary center middle school. Then on 2.9 in the amount of $81,615.48. Notable in that is the counseling services for all three schools. And you might remember that we are using Copeland Health as a vendor for that. That's relatively new. And then on 2/10/2023 in the amount of $107.80, P-card charge for Fairfield Inn for travel. All of these runs of expenditures total $217,842.94.
Any questions or comments? Mr. McCown, just off the top of your head, do you know how many people are going with Project Aware?
There's a group of teachers from each school. 10, thank
10?
you.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, any other questions, comments?
As far as, just info for me, the counseling services at all three schools, is that targeted toward any particular thing, or?
So that is the Project Aware mental health services that we have added, and we've got that dedicated counselor at each programmatic level. So anybody that needs that can get directed towards getting those. It's there to serve everybody. And in an emergency, that counselor can meet with anybody, I think up to 4 times, but then beyond that, the parent has got to consent and fill out paperwork for that student to meet with the counselor on a regular basis. But open to anybody that would like to use it.
They've got offices in the school, or how does that work?
We've got them squirreled away all over the place. Real estate is hard to come by, but they do have an office in each of the buildings.
On the counselors, you said after the 4th session,
Yes.
then the parents have to consent to more?
If it's an emergency, like the kid is suicidal or something like that, they can meet with that kid. But beyond that, if the student wants to be seen and the parents want that student to be seen on a regular basis, the parents have got to fill out paperwork and sign off on that.
Is, at the first time the students meet, are the parents informed?
If it was an emergency situation, the counselor would meet with that, and then the counselor would reach out to the parent and let them know this is what we met about. It was an emergency situation. So the parents are informed, yes.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to pay the invoices in the amount of $217,842.94. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. We have no budget transfers tonight, so we'll move to supplements. I need a motion to approve budget supplements in the amount of $16,210.
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
So we have 2. The first in the amount of $16,190, the state allocation for alternative ed programs. And then a whopping $20 increase to our federal IDEA special education funding. I guess $20 is $20. We'll take it. Those two things total $16,210 for supplements this evening.
Any questions, comments? 20 plus is better than 20 negative.
True.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the budget supplements in the amount of $16,210. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, now we need a motion to approve the selection of the auditor.
So moved.
That letter was in your packet. We have, and if you looked at this, we have up to May 1st to put this out and put it out to bid to get an auditor. And if we don't do that, we're automatically on the list to get audited by the state, and they're not the cheapest route out there. So this is asking the board for permission to put that out to bid.
Karen?
What this is by law, we will have to be subject to the state tax department to do our audit unless the board takes action by May 1 to say that we're going to, we would like to go out to bid and try to procure services of independent audit firms outside of just the tax department. We did have the tax department in here prior to, but then this came to be that we could go out for bid, and we did that and found that an independent audit firm is cheaper than the tax department. Their approaches to
And
business
quicker.
is very different, and Mr. Metz is fully aware. Tax department likes to do things on site, several weeks, versus an accounting firm. They like to get information sent to them, and they like to work in their house and in their firm and be ready and on site. And once they get here, they have their nose to the grind until they leave. And so they're only here maybe a week at most. So we've had good success with an independent audit firm, and we'd like to continue to be able to do that.
Okay, we're not selecting the
We're
audit.
not.
This is selecting, this is saying we're going to go out for bid.
Yeah, this is not a selection. This is simply asking the board's permission to allow me to go out and seek bids from other accounting firms. And then once we make that selection, I need one of you nice people to be on the committee with me, and then we'll evaluate it and bring it back to you what the recommendation is.
Any questions of Karen?
Just because it's the cheapest bid don't mean it's the best person for the job.
That's right.
You know, how do you discern on something like that?
Well, what'll happen, Mark, is that this will go out for bid. It hasn't gone, it'll go out for bid. Those bids will come back, and then there will be a committee. It's Karen, Mr. McCowan. I've sat it on it several times, and a board member, and
Usually us three.
and we'll go through all the bids and see what they're offering, and then that'll be, the recommendation will be made, and that'll come back to us to approve. And it might be the state tax auditor, it might be, when we look at all the bids, it might be that the state might be the
Usually the
best.
tax department doesn't bid whenever we go out for an independent audit firm. Their plate's pretty full, and so they really haven't been taking on a lot unless, that's the druthers of the board, is that you would rather have the tax department in here. But yeah, we usually get 4, maybe 5 bids in. So
Do we know what they charge as a comparison to the independent auditors?
whenever the tax department did it before and we went out to bid, the tax department was higher than what our independent audit firm was.
So we know what their price is then? Or we know what their price was offered
Yes.
last time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the selection of an auditor, or to go out to bid to approve the selection of an auditor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to personnel matters. I am at the right place this time, I believe. Okay, first is I need a motion to approve the resignation of substitute maintenance, Randall Pursley, effective January 29th, 2023.
So moved.
Anything we need to know, Mr. McCown?
His letter was in your packet. He is moving to a new location.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we have a motion to accept a resignation of substitute maintenance, Randall Pursley, effective January 29th, 2023. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to accept the retirement resignation of Rebecca Smith, teacher at Work County Primary Center, effective June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
So, Becky is a wonderful teacher and has
Yes,
done
she
a
is.
fabulous job for many, many years. I think many of us have had our kids come through her classroom, and we know what a special teacher she is, and just has done wonderful things with kids for a wide number of years. I will tell you, and Heather, if you don't mind making a note, we'll pull this out. She wants to be added to the substitute teacher list for next year. We will miss her as a teacher, but I wish her all the best in retirement, and hopefully she comes back and subs for us. I have no doubt she'll do a fabulous job with that.
Yeah, Becky, or I should say Rebecca, actually did her student teaching at my school at Newark. She did her student teaching, then we actually hired her and employed her at Newark, and she had started at Newark. And then she followed me to the middle school, went to the middle school, so it makes me feel old when, this brand new person out of college started teaching for us, and now she's retiring. It makes you feel a little old. But I second what Mr. McCown says. Becky's one of those people I always considered just a natural teacher. She just was natural. Yeah. We'll miss her. Any other comments?
I think my son had her twice, like kindergarten
Yeah,
and
probably
fourth
so.
grade maybe. Zoe had her during the whole COVID shutdown in 2020. She was fantastic. And that was a mess for everyone. And she was just, and I think that year the fourth grade maybe had 2 full-time subs
They
and
did.
her. And so she sort of took over all of fourth
She
grade.
ran the fourth grade.
And yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the retirement resignation of Rebecca Smith, teacher at Worth County Primary Center, effective June 30th, 2023. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to accept the retirement resignation of Dina Swain, special education specialist, Worth County Schools, effective June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
So again, her letter was in your packet. If you know Dina, she was an employee of RESA 5 for many years and specializing in special ed and another wide variety of things. And when RESA 5 went under, Mrs. Alvin got together with other superintendents, and we have shared Dina's services through a conglomerate of counties. And we're going to miss her. I'm glad that she is willing to come back and contract some things just with us here in Worth, but all of the counties that she has served will truly miss her. She brought a wealth of special education and pre-K expertise to the table and helped our special ed teachers a great deal. So again, I wish her well in her retirement, but she's going to be missed.
Yeah. Any other comments? I could say the same thing. When I teach my special ed course at the college, Dina's, when I have speakers come in, Dina's one of those people because she has just a tremendous historic knowledge of special ed, how we got where we are today. So our teachers will miss her because that's who she worked with. Okay, we have a motion to accept the retirement resignation of Dina Swain, special education specialist for Worth County Schools, and that'll be effective June 30th, 2023. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to approve the resignation of Hagen Root as assistant wrestling coach for Worth County Middle School, effective immediately.
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
So his letter is in your packet. The middle school wrestling season has wrapped up, so they're all finished. And I think that for his own reasons, and it is in the letter, he's wishing to resign at this time.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the resignation of Hagen Root as assistant wrestling coach for to Ward County Middle School effective immediately. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to employment. Need a motion to employ Brandy Harris, special education support teacher and coach, effective February 15th, 2023. What school is that at, Mr. McCown?
That is at the middle school.
Middle school, at Ward
So
County Middle School.
that is the extra duty that Jack...
Let me get a motion.
Oh, yes, sir.
So moved.
Okay, now.
So, yeah, sorry about that.
No
That
problem.
is the vacated extra duty that Jackie Harris had, again, providing some IEP guidance to the teachers, that when she retired and resigned from that, we brought it back to the board and made some changes to it. You reauthorized it, we posted it, and Mrs. Harris is the successful bidder bringing it to you tonight.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Brandy Harris as special education support teacher and coach effective February 15th, 2023. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to approve Ashley Baumgartner as bus operator effective February 15th, 2023.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
So as you recall, we had a resignation of a bus driver the last. We posted that, and Ashley is the successful bidder on that position.
And she is coming out of a custodian or a cook's
Well, she's been a
position?
sub. She's
Sub.
been a sub bus
Sub,
driver.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Ashley Baumgartner as bus operator effective February 15th, 2023. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to approve Misty McCulty, cook 3 for extended day supper in a sack effective February 15th, 2023.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
So her application was in your packet, and again, to clarify, this is for the extra duty that starts at 2 o'clock of distributing the supper sacks at the schools. It goes beyond the cook's regular work hours, which ends at 2. None of the regular cooks bid on this position. She's on the list as a sub-cook, and she was the successful bidder on that job.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Misty McCulty, cook 3 for extended day supper in a sack effective February 15th, 2023. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Then Form 5, we're not doing tonight. I'm assuming you want to tell us where we are
Yeah,
with those.
so we have applicants for those positions, but the middle school selection committee has not been able to interview those folks yet, so that should be done by the next board meeting, and we should have some names brought to you to fill those vacancies.
Okay. Okay, need a motion to approve Amanda Lucky as cook 3 for extended day supper in a sack effective February 15th, 2023.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
So this is the second extracurricular vacancy for the supper in the sack. She is currently a cook and did bid on the position and was the successful bidder for this extracurricular position.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Amanda Lucky, cook 3 for extended day supper in a sack effective February 15th, 2023. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. And down to number 7. Need a motion to approve Lisa Starcher as after-school tutor, academic support teacher at Ward County High School effective February 15th, 2023.
So moved.
So as you recall, we recently brought that position to you to authorize. You've authorized it, we posted it, and Mrs. Starcher was the successful bidder on that, bringing her to you tonight.
She'll do a good job for us. Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Lisa Starcher as after-school tutor, academic support teacher at Ward County High School effective February 15th, 2023. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're now down to new business. If it is okay with the members of the board, we'll take 1 through 6 as one motion. I'll give you a chance to look down through, see if there's anybody you wish to pull out. Okay, so I'll need a motion to approve Rachel March, Warwick County Middle School, Jeremy March, Warwick County Middle School, Trenton Toller, Warwick County Middle School, Dylan Toller, Warwick County Middle School, Rodney Hartley II, Warwick County Middle School, and Miranda Hartley, Warwick County Middle School, as volunteer chaperones for 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Anything special we need to
Well,
know?
I think the middle school is doing their ski trip, and
Yeah.
they're rounding up volunteer chaperones to help with that. We truly could not do this without folks
Lots of
with
folks.
skiing expertise coming and helping our kids. So for all those volunteer chaperones out there helping with that, we truly appreciate it.
And I think actually that's next Wednesday maybe, right? Yeah, 20,
22nd, I think.
22nd, yeah. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve Rachel March, Warwick County Middle School, Jeremy March, Warwick County Middle School, Trenton Toller, Warwick County Middle School, Dylan Toller, Warwick County Middle School, Rodney Hartley II, Warwick County Middle School, and Miranda Hartley, Warwick County Middle School, as volunteer chaperones for a 22-23 school year. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to authorizing some positions. First one is, need a motion to approve the cook 3/custodian 3 at Warwick County High School.
So moved.
Mr. McCown.
So Mr. Malonis brought this to me, and we had a conversation about it, and he drafted that in an email that is in your packet, but the high school kitchen could use a little bit of help. He's wanting to add some additional breakfasts and soup options there, and the current cooks at the high school would be stretched thin to do that. He's got money to pay for the cook portion of that position. And this would also add a halftime custodian to help with the lunch, trash, and things at the high school. I think it's needed, and I think it will improve the lunches and the offerings that the high school child nutrition folks can offer.
So he's going to pick up the cost of the cook 3
Yes.
for half a day or whatever period of time that is.
Correct.
And then the board will pick up the custodian 3
Yes.
for the remainder,
And
which it probably won't be half and half, will it? Is it going to be half and half? It has to be. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Any questions, comments?
Will the custodian part be like the rest of the day? Is that how that'll work, or is it part-time, or?
So I think that during the morning, they'll be doing some cook things, and then when lunch comes, they will help with the trash and all of that in the cafeteria. That will free up the one daytime custodian in the high school to maybe do some other things that they need to do, where before, when lunch was on there, it was kind of all hands on deck. The custodian was in there helping with that, and now if there's a custodial need somewhere else in the building, it'll free that person up to do some other things possibly.
So this is mostly directly for the lunch program then, correct?
Yeah, they have to set up the tables, take the tables down, clean the tables, salad bar, all that stuff, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion to approve a cook 3, custodian 3 at Warwick County High School. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to authorize teachers for home hospital instruction, homebound 4 positions. Are these countywide, Mr. McCown? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Mr. McCown?
So we have authorized 4 of these previously, and we have posted and filled 4 of those. We've got a couple additional homebound folks that are in the process of doing that, that I believe the doctors will complete that paperwork, and we are out of positions that you have authorized. So we've got 2 on deck. I'm asking you to authorize 4 just to give us some leeway, so if we get blindsided with a request, we don't have to wait till a board meeting this will give us some leeway, but again, we have two on deck that the doctors are completing the paperwork now.
Questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to authorize teachers for home hospital instruction, 4 positions. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, need a motion to have board support for Senate Bill 41.
So move.
Mr. McCown.
So it's always easier to have a hard copy, so I have ran that for all of you.
Thank you.
Cool.
So, a while back, the legislature had the intent of helping counties that were smaller in enrollment size to basically beef up the funding formula and to give us and fund us at a level of students if we were below the 1,200 student mark. And I think that was their intent. The algorithm and the calculation that they used to do that left 3 counties a little bit short, and that is us, Calhoun, and Gilmer. And this legislation is kind of a stopgap measure to help those us three counties out and kind of readjust that so we're truly funded at a level of 1,200 students. And Mrs. Cummings, do you know off the top of your head where we're at right now? What if without that?
Okay, head count wise, we're looking at 919 students is what we're looking at. No, head count is 921. FTE enrollment, because we have adjustments for students not attending full time, 919 is where we stand. Now, once the 1,400, now this is where if you sat through my budget presentation, we talk about those ghost students that I always say are out there. That's where there's 12 counties that are affected where they try to look at the 1,400 population rule. So if you're under 1,400 students, they try to give you an adjustment for that factor. And they start with the most sparse, correct grammar, someone will get me, county, and that's usually Pocahontas County. And then they do all of these different calculations, and I cannot replicate them. I've tried, I can't get their math figured out on it. But Pocahontas County, let's see what their enrollment is 918 versus our 919, but because of this calculation, they get funded for 1,400 students. So they got an additional 481 students added. Now, the bill of this Senate Bill 41, I believe is what it was called. After all of these ghost students are added, there are only 3 of us that are still below 1,200 enrollment after the ghost students get added, and that is Wirt, Gilmer, and Calhoun. Now, Calhoun stands to gain the most. They have 859 students. They're currently getting added ghost students of 274 for a total of 1,134 in enrollment. So if we go up to 1,200, they could get an additional 65 students being funded. For us, we're at 919. They're giving us 222 students for a total enrollment being funded at 1,141 students. So we could stand to gain another 58. 58 doesn't seem like much, but let's break it down into positions. Yes, you're right on. So on service personnel, we get funded approximately every 21 students. We're getting about two service positions, so a little over 2 positions on service. And on teaching, about every 13.7 students, we get a teaching position.
So we could get 4 positions on the professional side just from the 58 students. So dollar-wise, a little over $300,000 is what we could stand to gain. And there is a floor as to what school systems work on, and that's what they're trying to say. We think at a level of 1,200 students, everyone should be fair. Because here you've got Gilmer County at only 788 students, but yet they're only up to 1,152. And then there's Pocahontas. You know, they have 918, one less than us, but yet they get funded at 1,400. So they're just trying to find what that floor is that everyone should be able to operate on. That's the purpose of the bill.
Yeah. Questions?
This, when I was looking at this, I was wondering what the information, what's this vote actually for? Just saying we're
Just
supporting?
for the board to vote and put out there their support. If you do that, I will draft a letter saying that on this board meeting, the board voted to support this bill, and then I will send that letter to our delegates, just saying that you voted to ratify a vote of support for the bill.
Thank you.
Yeah, right now, none of our people are on the bill. It's Clements, Grady, and Queen, which is Harrison, Wetzel, and Mason County are the ones that have signed the bill. So we need to get our people, Senator Boley, Senator Azinger, to support this bill, because there are people that are supposed to represent us. So.
Karen, did I understand you right, that Pocahontas got 481 ghost students?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
their enrollment's 918?
Yes, that's correct.
And our enrollment's 919?
Yes,
And we get 58?
yes.
Yes.
And it's because of the calculation for that 1,400. It starts with the most sparse county, and that's deemed to be Pocahontas. I cannot duplicate the calculation, but I know that it always starts with Pocahontas, and they always get 1,400.
See, when these calculations first came out, and it was during my time as
Yes.
superintendent, this was a good thing for us, okay? And even the calculations that were used were good for us. But times have changed, and it's not anymore.
A couple
But-
years ago, they did increase it by 10% for those of us under the 1,400. And then now they're coming back around and they're looking at it again and saying, well, let's get these folks up to at least 1,200. But yeah, Pocahontas has always been at 1,400. And here are the other counties that are at 1,400. There's 12 counties that are only involved on the under 1,400 level of funding. Let's see, we start out with Calhoun. To back up here. Doddridge, Gilmer, Pendleton, they got exactly 1,400. And they have an enrollment of 862. So they actually got 537 students added. Pleasance, they're at 1,086. They got 149 ghost students for a total of 1,235. So they're a little over 1,200, but they didn't get the 1,400 mark. Pocahontas, they're 1,400. Ritchie, they're 1,400. Summers, they're 1,400. Tucker is now only funded at 1,263. Tyler is 1,400. Webster is 1,400. And then us at 1,141.
Make sure that I heard you correctly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in the day, when this bill was, when this was first originally looked at, Pocahontas, the senator from that area was very powerful. So when this bill started coming through, that's where they went with it, was Pocahontas, okay? And I get that. He was taking care of his people. And he took care of us also. But now, as our enrollment has dropped, we're not bringing in those funds that we need. They had a discussion about this, and the discussion overall with all of the members of the education committee was positive. They realized that there's a ceiling that we have to be funded at, and they're talking 1,200 is that. They're not ceiling, it'll be floor. That 1,200 is the floor. So. And if you know these people, give them a call. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion to allow, I guess what we'll do, Mr. McCown will write a letter on our behalf to our local representatives showing that the board voted to support Senate Bill 41. Are we good with that? How that motion is? Good. Okay. So we have a motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, so we're now down to superintendent's goals and evaluations. So I will make a motion. Oh, did I skip something? I did. Just getting too big of a hurry for Mr. McCown here. Okay. Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I? Okay, need a motion to approve the survey of the questionnaire and survey of students policy. Need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. McCown. I'm sorry, guys. I skipped over half the agenda.
You must be hungry.
I'm going to put my coat on in a minute. Thanks, sir.
So as you recall, we have had this one comment for 30 days. That 30 days have come and gone, and we didn't have a whole bunch of comments on here, as you can see. Me testing that the thing worked, me testing that the thing worked again, and then one comment was put in, and that comment was regarding adding a section that encompasses students that do surveys as part of a project or some kind of class assignment. And in my policy, I did not include that provision, but if it would be the will of the board, and you can discuss it under Section 3, School and District Surveys, I'm happy to add a section in there that in regards to student-conducted surveys, whether it be for a social studies project or something of that nature, in which the teacher would have to approve it and the building principal would have to approve it before the student conducts that survey.
Okay, with that, we'll open it up for comments, discussion.
How would that exactly read, Sonia?
So, let me... Okay, let's see here. conducting surveys as part of a school project or assignment need prior approval of the classroom teacher and building principal before conducting the survey. Does that encompass?
It does, yes.
that?
Because I did feel like we need, it probably could have fallen under another category if a teacher said, yes, you can do this for your project, it could have fallen under the teacher approval or something. But I felt like we should call it out, and I thought if we made them come back to the board every time they wanted to do something like that, they don't always have enough of a turnaround time with those projects, and it can be sometimes more than 2 weeks between our meetings, just depending on how it falls out. And so it seemed to make sense to me that if the teachers can and the building principals can do some informal surveys, it would make sense that they could approve a student-led one for a project, and then we're covered that way. The kids can do them if it's part of their project.
How about for transparency's sake, that the survey be posted in order for the public to see it as well? So that nobody will think there's anything hoodooing going on.
Like any survey or the student ones?
No, not necessarily the students.
Just any survey?
Any of them, yeah. I think that makes the board look better as a whole.
Mark, I don't disagree with you. My question about that is that there are some of these surveys, okay, that are proprietary, okay, that they don't allow those surveys out before they're given because of what the information or what they're gathering, okay? So they're proprietary. Even some of the federal ones you can't see before you actually give them.
But
Or the superintendent, principal and stuff can see them, but not necessarily the public. Go ahead.
in provision 1.2, it says unless it's a required survey from the Department of Education or whatnot, that parents will be made aware that the survey is going on, and we may not be able to give them a whole copy of it, but we could tell them what the survey entailed to let them make an informed decision if they wanted to participate in it or not. I don't know, as Mr. Mitt said, that we can always give them a copy of the whole thing, but parents would be notified of what the survey is and what it's about so that they could decide if they want to participate or not.
But they should know what is in the survey, because if the survey is labeled in a way that doesn't fully divulge what's in it, then the parents wouldn't be able to make an informed decision. So for instance, if we had a survey that was labeled drug use and there was many questions about gender and transsexual questions, the parents would most likely assume that it's just about drug use and not about these other questions, unless we do like Mark's saying and show what it is.
Well, they still have the choice to say that they don't want to participate.
But if they don't know what's in it, then they're not making an informed decision to
Right.
participate.
Nobody would really have a right to complain that way, and I'm figuring you probably got some complaints from that survey, I'm assuming, you know, and say, hey, it's out for the public to see.
So I fielded some phone calls about it, but when I explained to them that it wasn't mandatory, and if they didn't want to participate, they didn't have to, folks were fine with that. I had nobody that was upset after I said, if you don't want to participate, you don't have to.
I worry that if we say that, and then there is a survey or a questionnaire that is given that we're not allowed, okay, then we've lied to the people, because we've said within our policy that they could always see it.
Yeah.
Okay, and if then we don't, then we have lied to them.
When you say we're not allowed, you mean by the state not allowing us to?
Or the federal, that if it's a proprietary information that they, you know, that they won't, I don't know of any that people won't be able to come look at, but I do believe that there's some that we can't post on our websites. We can't put it out there for everybody to see just on the website.
How about something to the effect that would be made available at the board office for any concerned parent to observe?
Yeah,
Would you be good with something
I
like
think
that?
that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think, I'm
We
sorry.
might not be able to publish
Go
it,
ahead.
but I think we probably could make it available for them to come in and see it. I think the issue, if it's a copyrighted thing, we may not be allowed to publish it on our website, but a member of the public could come in and look at it.
Yeah.
And if they say you can't even do that, then John will have to make the decision whether we're going to do it, or at the same time, he'll be able to say to parents, I can't show you the survey. Okay, if they call in and want to see the survey, I mean, he'll say to them, because it's proprietary, I can't show it to you. And then that parent at that point in time will be able to say, no, I don't know what's on it, my kid's not taking it. Yeah.
If that's the issue, then as long as we tell the parents, we would let you know, but we can't tell you what's in it. So that then they know it's not that we're trying to hide information
Yeah,
from them.
absolutely.
There wouldn't possibly be instance, though, I mean, I think it goes through you, doesn't it, John?
It does. So I have to approve it, and then if I think it's something that we need to do, then I bring it to you.
Right.
And the only caveat with that is if it's something that WVDE or the Department of
Right.
Education is mandating that we have to do, and we don't have discretion to not do it. So do we want to add a provision under 1.2, voluntary participation, that says surveys will be made available for review at the board office upon request?
Okay.
And that covers that if you can't allow them to review it, then that allows you to say at that time, the person that, or, the State Department, whoever, this is not a survey that they allowed to be reviewed. And at that point in time, those parents can say, well, then my child won't take it.
So I have added under 1.2 an additional sentence that says surveys will be made available for review at the board office upon request.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so here's, our policy says, and after comments and stuff, that we have the option of putting it back out for public review with the new sections put in, or if they're not major, that we can go ahead and approve the policy as presented to the board tonight with So we have two new sections put in, or two new statements, one dealing with students and one dealing with the survey and being able to see the survey. It truly makes no difference to me if we put it back out for 10 days or if we go ahead and prove it with these two statements in.
I say approve it now.
It should be put back out for the parents to see what the changes are that we're going to approve.
Okay, 10 days.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either way, guys. I mean, you know, it's not something that we're going to deal with within the,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, we have a motion on the floor though, okay? Okay, who made that? Randa. Okay, Randa, would you be agreeable to change your motion to, okay, I'm trying to
Basically,
think.
to say that we made changes,
Huh?
we're going to put it back out.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
you got that, Heather?
How do I word this?
Okay, the motion would be to, after board discussion, to put the survey back out for 10 days. And that way,
With the additional, with the two changes.
with the two changes for an additional 10 days. It's more or less for public knowledge, not for comment. I mean,
You might
yeah,
say survey draft, because that's what it is.
yeah.
Oh, that's
And then
true.
we'll approve it. Would that give us time for, yeah, that'll give time for next board meeting. There should be 14 working days between.
Do we have a President's Day holiday? Do you
Because
guys
we
get that?
changed the board meeting, didn't we?
That's
The next one is on the 28th, and that would be 10 business days. It would come down, yeah, so we could approve that. the 28th.
Yeah, we can put it on the agenda to be approved, and then anything that happens before that. Y'all good with that? Okay. Heather, read back to me, if you wouldn't mind, to the board, what you have.
After board discussion, the policy will be put back out for comment for 10 days to review the changes.
Yeah. Everybody good with that? Okay, so that's your motion, Mrs.?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, everybody knows the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Good deal. Okay, now I get to do. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss the superintendent's goals and evaluation. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it.